Hello, how are you today? And I am hoping that I will be able to give you a little book review. I haven't done an actual book review video in a long time, and I've been wanting to do them. It's really important to me to actually get these book reviews done. This particular book inspired me so much. I really wanted to tell you about it. It's called One Man's Wilderness, and it's by Richard Proenneke and was edited by his friend Sam Keith. It wasn't exactly a memoir, it was more like a journal of his experience. So this man, Richard Proenneke, he decided to go live for a year in the wilderness in Alaska. And this was back in the 60s, so it was like May of 1968 that he arrived there. It was actually his second visit to the area because he had already been there with a friend and stayed at his friend's cabin. So his friend said he could stay at that cabin the following year and at the same time build his own cabin. So it was at a place called Twin Lakes in Alaska, sort of the southern part of Alaska. The book is written in journal format. That is what he wrote. He wrote a journal and his friend edited it. And I love journal format books. They're very, very slow moving. It isn't a fast paced adventure, but it just gives you a taste of what the man's real life was like day by day. So he stayed at his friend's cabin and he built his own cabin at the same time. Most of the materials that he used for his Alaskan cabin were sourced from the wilderness, from the forest nearby. There were a few things that he used from civilization, like there was the roofing that he used. The cabin's still there. It was built in 1968. He stayed there for 16 months, and then after that he went back to Iowa to visit his family, and after that winter he went back to Alaska and stayed there for 30 years. He loved being alone, apparently. And all during that time he wrote journals, so there are quite a few other journal books about Richard Proenneke, and they're available on a website. I just found the website. It's Richard Proenneke Store, and I put that in the description of this video, of course. It's a pretty interesting website. It shows pictures of his family members, and it offers his actual sourdough starter for sale. So Richard Proenneke passed away in 2003 and is no longer with us. He willed the cabin to the National Park Service, and it's part of a national park up there in Alaska now, and people can actually go there and stay in his cabin overnight. Apparently up there in the wilderness, the people would not lock their cabins because there was always a possibility that somebody would come by and be in desperate need of shelter. So they would make their cabins available to other people. But it's an absolutely beautiful place. It's on a lake, Twin Lakes, in Alaska. And the book I thought was phenomenal. The second to the last chapter was called Reflections, and it just told some of the wisdom he had gleaned from his years of being alone, or his time of being alone up there. And I was just totally amazed by that chapter. He said such wise things. So I looked him up on Wikipedia, and I found out some things about his life. First of all, he had worked as a heavy equipment operator, carpenter, and mechanic, among other things. He was a diesel mechanic. He didn't go to Alaska and build that cabin until he was 51. So he lived up there until his 80s. I can't remember what year he called it quits. Maybe he was 86. He was quite old by the time he decided not to go back there anymore. And then he moved to Hemet, California, where he lived until he passed away. He was in the Navy during World War II. The information about the cabin. Okay, he took videos of himself building the cabin. He was into photography and videography, and there were documentaries about him. This is available on YouTube. I mean, if you put in his name, Richard Proenneke, then you're going to find information about him and pictures of him building and videos of him building his cabin. Very, very impressive life. I don't know, ever since I was young, I thought maybe I would want to be a hermit. And I am kind of an introvert, so hermit life just appeals to me. But this man actually did it. He went up to Alaska and he lived alone in the wilderness for many years, summer and winter, and just a beautiful life story. And I was so glad to find this. I listened to an audiobook version, and the reason why is because I have a membership at Audible, and they have for members a Plus catalog, and the Plus catalog contains free videos and free audiobooks. So, right, I found this book for free at Audible. And I'm so glad I did. It was a great read, and I'm so glad I found out about Richard Proenneke and his life. And I just wanted to tell you about it. So I hope that if you have time, if this appeals to you, if you like reading books that are journals of the day-by-day life of somebody, this is really a good one. So thank you for listening to my video, and hopefully I'll be back with another one soon.